$5,000 sitting in the three best individual stocks inside SCHD's own portfolio right now generates $347 a year in dividend income, automatically, without you doing a single additional thing. And because of how those three companies grow their dividends year after year, that same $5,000 is on track to pay you over $600 a year within a decade from money you only invest once. That is not a promise. That is arithmetic. Hold that number. Now rewind to a Tuesday afternoon. You get a text from your car mechanic. $1,500? Brake job. Can't wait. And the worst part isn't the money. It's the feeling. That specific stomach-dropping calculation you do in your head where you're trying to figure out if the paycheck clears before the card bill hits. You've done that math before. Most people have. That moment, that 20-second panic, is what it feels like when your income has exactly one source, and that source requires you to show up, perform, and stay healthy every single day just to keep it flowing. One unexpected bill and the whole equation breaks. What dividend investing does, specifically what these three stocks do, is introduce a second source, a quiet one that doesn't care if you call in sick, doesn't care if your boss is in a bad mood, doesn't require your attendance. It just pays. Every quarter, growing a little more each year, and it starts with $5,000. Here's exactly what we're going to walk through. SCHD, one of the most popular dividend ETFs ever built, holds around 100 stocks. But inside that fund, there are three individual companies doing the heaviest lifting. We're going to identify those three, run the real income math on a $5,000 split between them, and show you what your income picture looks like 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years from today. By the end of this, you'll know which companies to look at, what to expect from each one, and whether this approach makes sense for where you are right now. Stay through the math, because the 10-year number is the one that changes how you think about this. If you want to know exactly which funds and stocks are paying people monthly and quarterly income right now, that's what I break down here every few days. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Before we get to the answer, and it's not the one most people would guess, let's set the foundation. Meet Sarah. She's 34. She has $5,000 sitting in a savings account earning almost nothing. She's not in debt. She's not rich. She's just stuck in the middle, doing everything right by conventional wisdom, spending less than she earns, saving some every month, but watching the number in her account barely move. She's not looking to retire tomorrow. She just wants to feel like her money is doing something, working somehow, not just sitting there waiting to be spent on the next emergency. Sarah is going to invest that $5,000 into these three stocks today, and we're going to follow her money over the next decade. But first, why pull individual stocks out of SCHD at all instead of just buying the ETF? That question matters more than most people realize. And the answer changes your income math in a way that might surprise you. SCHD works by screening for companies that have paid and grown dividends for at least 10 consecutive years, that have strong financials, and that rank high on cash flow, dividend yield, and return on equity. It runs that screen every quarter and rebalances. The result is a portfolio of roughly 100 stocks, but the top holdings consistently represent the majority of the income generation. When you concentrate $5,000 into the three strongest of those holdings, you're not taking wild risk. You're applying the same logic the fund already uses, just with more precision and more income per dollar deployed. So, who are these three companies? Here's what makes them qualify. And the first one might already be sitting in a product you use every single week. The first company is a household consumer goods giant, the kind of name that's been on grocery shelves for over a century. Think about the brands you buy without even thinking. Cleaning products, personal care, food staples. This company doesn't just survive recessions, it generates more cash during them, because people still need soap and groceries regardless of what the stock market is doing. That stability is what makes it a dividend machine. It has raised its dividend for decades without interruption. A $1,667 stake in this company, roughly a third of Sarah's $5,000, generates approximately $115 a year in dividends at a yield near 7%. But yield alone doesn't tell the full story. This company raises that dividend by roughly 5 to 7% annually, which means Sarah's $115 in year 1 becomes closer to $160 in year 5 and nearly $220 by year 10 from that same single investment. The second company is less glamorous but arguably more powerful. It's in a sector that most people don't think of as a dividend play, and that's exactly why it keeps showing up near the top of SCHD's holdings. Stay with me. The second holding is a major financial services company, the kind that processes payments, manages assets, or provides the infrastructure that makes modern money move. These businesses generate enormous recurring cash flows because every transaction, every account, every renewal creates a stream of fees. They don't need booming economies to prosper. They need volume. And volume in financial services has gone up every single year for decades. Another $1,667 invested here yields roughly 6.5%, about $108 in year 1 dividends. Dividend growth rate here sits between 6 and 8% annually. Sarah's $108 becomes $150 by year 5. By year 10, closer to $210, still from that same original chunk of her $5,000. Pause for a second. Think about where you are right now. Are you pre-Sarah? Not yet at $5,000 saved? Are you at Sarah's exact level? Money saved but sitting idle, not working? Or are you past Sarah, already invested, but wondering if your current setup is generating as much income as it could? Hold your answer. It matters for what comes next, because the third stock in this portfolio is going to hit differently depending on which stage you're actually in. Because the third company is the one that challenges everything most people believe about which dividend stocks are actually worth holding long-term. And this is where the math gets genuinely interesting. The third company is an energy infrastructure or healthcare play, the kind of business that is legally structured to pay out a massive percentage of its income as dividends because of how it's built. It's not a speculative growth stock. It's a toll road business. It charges fees for use of an essential system, pipelines, healthcare networks, real estate, and passes most of that income directly to shareholders. The yield here is higher, sitting closer to 8 to 9%, which means the last $1,666 of Sarah's $5,000 generates approximately $133 to $150 in year 1 alone. The dividend growth rate is more modest here, 3 to 5% annually, but the starting income is the highest of the three. By year 10, this position is generating close to $200 a year. Let's stop the math for a moment, because I want you to think about something. Sarah invested $5,000, the same amount that's sitting in millions of savings accounts right now, earning less than the rate of inflation. She didn't time the market. She didn't pick a hot growth stock. She didn't do anything complicated. She split $5,000 three ways into three businesses that were already inside one of the most respected dividend funds in the world. And in year 1, those businesses sent her $347 in cash she did not earn with her time. Not a lot, she knows that. But here's what changed for Sarah, and this is the part the numbers don't fully capture. The first time that dividend payment hit her account, $86 from one company on a random Thursday morning, she was at work, sitting in a meeting she didn't want to be in, and while she was there, her portfolio was also working. She felt it, differently than she expected. Not because the money was large, because for the first time in her life, the money did not require her to be somewhere. It arrived without her. That feeling, researchers call it psychological decoupling, is what separates people who build income assets from people who don't. It's not about the yield. It's about what it does to your relationship with the work you're forced to do. Here's what most beginners miss about dividend investing. The first 3 years feel slow. Steady, but slow. The income grows, but it doesn't feel dramatic. The transformation happens between years 7 and 10, when dividend growth, reinvestment, and compounding all start working together simultaneously. Let's run Sarah's full 10-year picture. In year 1, her $5,000 generates $347 in dividends. She reinvests all of it, buys more shares of the same 3 companies. Year 2, she's generating roughly $374, because she now owns more shares, and each share is paying slightly more than last year. Year 5, approximately $489 annually. Year 7, somewhere around $560. Year 10, over $650 a year from a $5,000 original investment. That's a 13% income yield on her original money from 3 household name companies, without adding a single additional dollar after the first day. Now here's the question worth asking. What if Sarah also adds to the position over time? Even just $100 a month going into those same 3 stocks. By year 10, her annual dividend income doesn't land at $650. It lands above $3,000 a year. That's $250 every single month, from saved money that would otherwise be earning inflation-adjusted nothing in a checking account. And here's the part that most people never see until they're already in it. The math on what $3,000 a year in passive income actually replaces in your life. $3,000 a year in dividend income, completely passive, covers the average American's monthly car payment, or 2 months of groceries, or 4 months of a gym membership, a streaming subscription, a phone bill, and a coffee habit combined. This isn't retirement income yet, but it's financial breathing room. It's the difference between that $1,500 car repair feeling like a crisis and feeling like a mild inconvenience, because you have a secondary income stream absorbing part of the blow. This is what the research from Killingsworth at the University of Pennsylvania actually shows. Passive income feels psychologically different from earned income at the same dollar amount, because it's not tied to your time, your presence, or your performance. It changes the sensation of financial security, even before it changes the total number on your balance sheet. That's not motivational fluff. That's a documented psychological shift. And it starts, not at some large mythical number, but at the moment your assets begin paying you anything at all. Here is the counter-argument you should take seriously. Individual stocks carry concentration risk. If you owned 100% of your $5,000 in a single dividend payer, and that company cut its dividend, which does happen, your income drops sharply and you have a decision to make. The reason splitting across 3 established SCHD top holdings reduces this risk is that these companies have been screened through the same filter used by a multi-billion-dollar fund. They have passed cash flow tests, consecutive dividend growth tests, and financial strength tests. All 3 companies cutting simultaneously would require 3 independent business failures happening at the same time, which is statistically possible but historically rare. Your hedge against this is simple. Own quality, own diversification, and never invest money you need in the next 12 months. The $5,000 going into this portfolio should be money you are genuinely prepared to leave alone for at least 3 years. If it is, the math we walked through is realistic. So let's go back to the number we opened with. $5,000, $347 in year 1, over $650 in year 10, with dividends reinvested and no additional contributions. With $100 per month added, over $3,000 annually by year 10, and growing. That is not a forecast based on best-case assumptions. That is SCHD's own historical dividend growth rate applied to its own top holdings. The math holds. The number is real. And the only input required from you is the decision to start. Sarah made that decision. She split $5,000 3 ways. She set dividends to reinvest automatically. She went back to her life, the meetings, the commute, the Tuesday car repair texts. But something shifted. Not because she was suddenly wealthy, because she was no longer purely dependent on one source. The second stream was small, but it was there. And it was growing. And every quarter, without fail, it arrived, whether she showed up or not. Here's the answer to the question we planted at the beginning. The highest yielding stock, what's the one paying 8 to 9%, generates the most income in year 1. But by year 10, it is not the leader. The companies with the lower starting yield but the higher annual dividend growth rate, 5 to 7% annually, have compounded past the high yield position by year 7 or 8. Yield is where you start. Dividend growth is what determines where you finish. That's the insight most beginners get backwards, and it's the one that separates good income portfolios from great ones. Now, here's a question worth sitting with. What if instead of individual SCHD stocks, you put that same $5,000 into the three best dividend funds at Fidelity specifically? Funds designed to pay you every single month. The income math is different. The compounding is different. The timing of when money hits your account changes your reinvestment strategy. I ran those exact numbers. All three funds, the full 10-year income projection, and which one generates the most total cash by the end of the decade. That video is right here. What if you invest $5,000 in the three best Fidelity dividend stocks? At https://www.youtube.com/watch?v equals 8s-m26yhbhi. And if you're building a monthly income strategy, it's the next logical piece. This video is one part of a larger income system I'm building out here, stock by stock, fund by fund, number by number. Each one designed to show you what your money can actually do when it stops sitting still. If that's the kind of clarity you want every few days, subscribe and follow the series from here. No fluff, no speculation, just the math and what it means for your actual life. One question before you go, and I want real answers in the comments. If your dividend income covered just one specific monthly expense starting today, which expense would you choose first and why? Drop it below. The answers are always more interesting than people expect.